crossbow that Tyrion used to kill their father. Basically, used the exact same weapon that pretty much put our family in these dire straits to put them down, thus destroying the male Lannister line. It is unknown at this point whether or not Bronn takes this job or just takes the money and does his own thing, because he has a relationship with both Jaime and Tyrion. He is friends with both characters. So it is yet to be seen how exactly that's going to work out, but from what we can take from this scene, Bronn is on his way up north because he knows but where both men are. So production wise, so we know that Cersei pretty much handles all of her business on her own. However, in real life things happen. And in real life, the actor who plays Bronn and the actress who plays Cersei, in real life, once upon a time dated each other, and now they absolutely fucking hate each other. There are no scenes with them together in the series at all. Not for any significant amount of time. The one scene where you see Cersei walking away from Bronn in the hallway, that is Bronn's body double. For that one moment. There are absolutely no scenes of them together in this entire show. They do not bring it up in interviews. They've not been seen in interviews together. And they just do not appear on screen together because there is a mutual dislike between both characters. So the way that she sends Qyburn in to give them a deal is basically, okay, well, we got to find a way to get Cersei to fucking offer Bronn to do this without having Cersei go in there and offer Bronn to do this. So that's how that happens. Flies over to the next scene where you see probably the most successful rescue mission in all of Game of Thrones. Now, which is pretty much a sequel to one of the most unsuccessful rescue missions in all of Game of Thrones. Because Theon is on his road to redemption. Now, Theon is not going to sit on the Iron Throne. I'm going to say that right now. He's not. I'm not saying that because I dislike the character. I actually like Theon's story arc, how it has peaks and valleys. But it is about a man who's now trying to do right because of all the wrong that he has done, because of all the things that he's caused to happen. Excuse me, whether directly or indirectly, he's now trying to do the right thing. And the first thing he does in the climax of his story is he's gonna go save his sister, and he pulls it off. His sister was the only person who tried to rescue him from Ramsay Bolton. Got really close, but he sabotaged that mission himself by being loud. He sabotaged. I'm just realizing this as I say this now. He sabotaged that mission himself by being loud. He successfully rescues his sister by being silent. They didn't cause They didn't cause a lot of noise. They sniped everybody. It wasn't a bloody battle or anything like that. They sniped everybody that they saw, and he rescued his sister. And now she's sailing back to the Iron Islands, and she sent him to go to Winterfell to help fight with the Starks because Jon gave him permission. He's like, you don't have to choose. He's a Stark, and he's a Greyjoy. And I think this is just me foreshadowing that there's going to come a time where Jon is going to have an identity crisis himself, being a Targaryen and being a Stark. And I think it's going to be Theon that tells him, hey man, you don't have to choose. You can be both. You can be a Stark and you can be a Targaryen. And that's just me foreshadowing something later on in the episode. Now, let's get on in with the episode. Now we're gonna go a little bit off the watch along and stuff because there's just a lot of political intrigue and talking points at this point with Varys, Davos, and Tyrion, where they're basically just saying, hey, look, we need to get these two married. Like, why not have, two of the most qualified people to run this country? Let's have them together, And they're asking Tyrion he should propose it because it looks better when Tyrion does it because he's a younger person and he's not just an old person telling young people what to do. And they're like, okay, cool. And then you see Jon and Daenerys. They're talking, hanging, and just, I guess, hanging out at Winterfell. We see more of Winterfell in this one episode than we have in pretty much the entire season. And I get it, the name of this episode is Winterfell, but yeah, I like this. It is commendable. And as a person who hates the snow and the person who hates winter, it looks beautiful. Snow is beautiful. I just don't want to be in it. Let's put it like that. I love seeing snow on TV in California. It's great when I see snow on TV in California. But yeah, so Daenerys finds out from her Dothraki, who are totally not dressed for the weather at all. They say that the dragons aren't eating. Like, they're not eating as much as they would. Which, when they tell her how much they eat, I'm like, fuck, how much do dragons eat? Like, I get it. Like, they're big animals and stuff, but 18 goats sounds like a lot of goat. Just saying. This is coming from a person. I don't eat goat often, but I do eat goat. And goat is pretty filling, and goat is pretty big, but at the same time, it's a fantasy fucking show. Who knows? They probably just was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, 18 goats and 11 sheep. 18 and 11 is 29. So almost 30 animals between 2 dragons, and, that's not enough. So they go check them out. And you go see one of the most baller shots in the whole damn show. You see 2 dragons, Rhaegal and Drogon, flanking the scene, and Jon and Daenerys walking up right in between them. It is a beautiful, beautiful shot. And you get some foreshadowing into who Jon really is. For those who don't know, like in the books, they talk about dragon riders a lot. There's a war called the Dance of Dragons where there were so many other dragons, and like there were different Targaryens riding dragons, doing warfare on each other. Now, only Targaryens thus far in the series, in the book, and the show, only Targaryens have been able to ride dragons. Only they've been able to touch dragons. The only person who is technically not a Targaryen to be able to touch a dragon was Tyrion. Now, we all know Jon is already a Targaryen. He's touched Drogon. Now he's about to touch Rhaegal. Rhaegal, the significance of Jon being able to touch and, in just a second, ride Rhaegal. The significance in that is that Rhaegal is named after Daenerys' brother, Jon's father, Rhaegar Targaryen. So he's riding a dragon named after his father. Which is kind of awesome. Then they go into this scene. So this is another thing. Like, he can ride a dragon, which makes Daenerys attracted to him. They're already attracted to each other, which is cool. And, we'll get into that in a second. And, he's riding a dragon, as a Targaryen does and should. So that's also neat. Now, this whole scene is basically a good little couple minutes of them having their first actual date riding dragons, which if dragons were real, this would shame a lot of first dates. Be like, man, I took that bitch riding dragons. And that's Daenerys talking about Jon, by the way, because she took him riding her dragons. And, it's cool. I really wanted them, and I was watching this shit, I was saying this shit to myself in my head, I really wanted them to sing A Whole New World as they were riding. I'm like, they're just riding around, a whole new world, don't you dare close your eyes, a whole new fantasy, no one to tell us no, or where to go, just giving this whole new world to me. And it's cool. Like, it was funny to me. So then they riding, and then it goes into like The dialogue in this episode is some of the dialogue in here was just real fucking questionable and which was real kind of out of sorts for Game of Thrones. Like I peeped that a little bit, which, you know, whatever. I get it. They're trying to put some love story in it and stuff. It's kind of weird when you stop and you think about it, but yeah. So Jon and Daenerys land by a waterfall cave. I'm unsure of where exactly Jon took her, because I think Jon led the charge over here. I'm not completely sure where he took her, but I think that's the cave from season 3, where he and Ygritte had first did it, where Jon actually lost his virginity. Like, I think that's the cave, and I have to go back to check it out. And then they start making out in front of the dragons, and the dragons are just checking out the whole scene and stuff. So, like, I guess in Westeros, dragons are like cats or like any kind of pets that when you start, you know, doing it, they will maintain eye contact the whole time. So, yeah, if you've ever done it in front of your animals, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. If you've never done it in front of animals and you have pets, get ready. Because that shit's going to fucking happen. So, yeah, now we get another set of reunions in the show. And you get one with 3 characters who've had great interactions with each other. You get Gendry, son of Robert Baratheon. You get the Hound. And you get Arya. Arya's had a interesting relationship with the both of them. She had more of a older brother, younger sister dynamic with the Hound. Then there was a different kind of friendship with her and Gendry, which I hope they kind of explore in this, and I hope they don't at the same time. And Arya and the Hound are still, you know, bitter, still kind of angry at each other. But at the same time, there's a little bit, it's a little underline of respect between the two. And I dig that. Because there's smiles exchanged between the two. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? You can still eat a dick. It was a lot of that. It was a lot of that vibe going on when she met back up with the Hound. It was like, yeah, you know what? Thank you for teaching me some stuff. But, you know, you still suck. You know, it's like it was like that old high school football coach from Texas and shit. It's like, thank you for being the hard ass that you were. It made me into a better person, but you still are a miserable sack of shit. You know. So this episode is a lot of setup. It's a lot of setup in this episode, which is great. Which is what a first episode of a series should be. Arya presents Gendry with a weapon. Now, from what it looks like an arrow, because there were several like different like teaser scenes of Arya with a bow and arrow. And here's my theory. Here's my theory on this one. Now, we just saw Jon and Daenerys by the cave that I think is from season 3. Okay, I think it is. The cave that I think is from season 3. Now, Jon came back from the cave, joined up with the Night's Watch again, and then the Wildlings had their battle at Castle Black. And Ollie the shithead, Ollie of House Asshole, killed Ygritte with a bow right in front of Jon. I'm not gonna say that I think that this is gonna happen, but I will not be surprised if it does. I think Arya is going to be the one to kill Daenerys with a bow made out of dragon glass, with an arrow made out of dragon glass after she's turned by the Night King. I'm saying it might happen. It might happen. She's gonna kill somebody that somebody else loves who got turned with a fucking arrow made out of dragon glass. Just saying. Now, Jon and Sansa now arguing, which is setting up a lot of tension throughout the series because If you thought that everybody was going to be just